Hey everybody, welcome to the IronTrap podcast.
What's up, guys?
We are doing a audio-only version. Normal little thing we'll throw in the beginning. If this is your first time listening, make sure you subscribe if you're listening to this on like any of the formats.
Yep.
Make sure you subscribe. We do podcasts now, for the most part, weekly. Unless something with our travel schedule gets crazy, we pretty much, or Mike loses a memory card.
Hey, Nate saved the day.
He did. So we were just late that time. I
Yes.
didn't totally miss it. So we do that, and then every other week we do we do a video also. But you can now listen to podcasts on YouTube. That's a new thing. It's been actually pretty popular.
Yeah.
We've been
YouTube
noticing.
Music.
Yeah, so you can actually listen to the podcast on YouTube. So if you're not like a podcast person and you just do just YouTube, or maybe stream our videos through your TV only. I know we have a lot of older people that watch our stuff that don't do the crazy social media stuff or technology. So you can actually watch it right through your YouTube app. It'll pop up sometimes it pops up as like a video almost, but it just puts our logo up and then it's just an audio. So, but it's fun to throw on in the garage or, in the background while you're driving, whatever, and we babble on about stuff.
And if you're listening to this on a podcast format, head to YouTube. We have a YouTube channel if you're new to the IronTrap umbrella. We have a YouTube channel where we build traditional hot rods and customs. So
find neat stuff in buildings and barns and bring it back to life.
Yeah, we do all kinds of crazy stuff. So I figured we haven't said that in a while. So if you're new to the IronTrap stuff, head to YouTube. There's like 1,000+ videos.
Pretty crazy.
So it'll keep you entertained for a while.
So so just a handful of updates we'll do just for, like we always do on these, we just kind of do a weekly update or whatever. Number one, not car related, but Moon had his surgery this week. Moon is like the biggest.
Franken-Moon?
Yeah, Franken-Moon. Everybody's for a while now has been claiming I was a bad pet owner because Moon had cysts.
Yep.
And I have to cover it. I apologize if we have to cover this for like the next 13 things we talk about. Moon is a Great Dane Hound mix. Both of those types of dogs are prone to getting cysts. I used to have 2 Great Danes before Moon, just purebred Danes, and both of them had cysts, and I had to have them removed. Hounds are the same way. So Moon had cysts for years now. I've been getting them drained periodically, and as he's been getting older, they've been draining. They've been filling up quicker. So not to get too in depth, but because of that, we got to a point where the one on his tail was starting to bother him, and he was chewing at it. My vet is very friendly to the vets. In fact, one of the owners of the vet's office owns antique trucks and antiques cars, and is a friend of mine. So like
he might be on the podcast someday too.
Who knows?
Him and his dad are probably crazier than we are.
So I know people think that I'm a terrible pet owner, but I am not. It got to a point where the vets and I made the decision that it was time, before he gets much older. Moon is 9-ish years old, probably bordering 10. And if we wait too much longer, putting him under could be dangerous. So Moon got him done. Flying colors. He is a freaking maniac. The night after surgery, he was all doped up, but like this morning, 2 days or so later, he is like grabbing his ball and running around, and it's very hard to keep him under control.
I have to like tiptoe. If I have to go into the house to use the bathroom, I have to like tiptoe into the house very quietly, just because he gets very excited when people walk in the house.
Yeah, so we're more concerned about him, A, ripping his stitches out, or B, his tail, it was such a large incision and he didn't have enough skin. There is an open area that is an open wound that we're putting stuff on to help heal. But like if he bangs that against a wall, they could bang a wound, it could start bleeding, and it could be a problem. It's his tail. It could bleed badly. So,
and part 2 is he's a large dog, so the cone he has is like a satellite dish.
He is just a maniac. He's a battering ram. He just runs into you, the doorway, everything. It just knocking stuff off my counters.
It's a hazard in every facet.
I can't have a coffee cup on that. Like Moon's he's pretty cool. Like in the house, very calm for the most part. So like I can leave a coffee cup on the arm of the couch. He won't bang it off. Now it's like nothing's safe. I have to keep everything even remotely
breakable. It's like
breakable.
having a toddler.
Yeah, it's really bad. So he's just in, and he acts like the cone isn't on, and he doesn't care that he's smashing and everything. So Moon's doing great. I had a vet check up yesterday of his wounds, and last night, and he did. She commented that he's healing very good. So Moon's on the up and up. I think in 2 or 3 weeks he's getting his stitches out, and by then he'll be back. So if you don't see him on the channel, that's why. We have to keep him, because of the wounds, I have to keep him out of the shop, keep him not active, so he has to pretty much just stay in my house and chill out and chew on his bones and just...
Like a typical dog. Every time we sweep the floor, he lays in that pile. So
yeah, he's really bad.
Not good for the tail wound or the stitches.
So that's the moon update for everybody. That seems to be a popular topic. Couple other things. If you follow social media, the Green 32 Roadster did sell semi-private. Yeah. Privately, as in it wasn't for sale. A friend of ours, or a customer of ours, and has become friendly with, bought the Roadster. He was shopping for quite a while. Didn't know we were going to sell that Roadster.
He actually him and I were joking yesterday. He sent us a message that said, "Do you have any perfectly shitty 32 Roadsters for sale?" And I said, "I have this shiny 32 Roadster that will probably sell." He's like, I think that'll work.
Yeah, so he follows the channel, he watches every video, and we're very fortunate with our business model. He and I were talking yesterday evening when we were hanging out, and just discussing the car some more. And it was kind of like I don't know, not thinking about it, but it's like the best deal with buying an old car. Like, we show from the day we find a car, everything about it and everything we do to the car, and we're not trying to sell it to, like, Brian wasn't getting sold the car because we didn't know he was even interested. Yeah. So, like, we're showing everything we're doing, and then he, like, is following it all this time, and then once he was interested in buying it, then it was like he went back and rewatched everything. So, like, there's nothing to it's not like a used car salesman where, like, we're hiding something. Like, I show all this stuff.
Or just the unknown. Yeah. You just don't know.
So, yeah. So we've shown everything we know about the car. We've talked about it far beyond him before he went to buy it. So he was like, I've rewatched the videos. He had a sheet he printed out with, like, everything done to the car on it. He's like, is that all correct on it? And I corrected him on a couple little things. But, like, so it was like for him and anyone else we've sold a car, they know. And we sold beautiful. The gentleman in Germany had watched every video. He knew everything about the car. So, like, it's pretty sweet. And now, like, I've always been overly honest when I sell an old car, especially a modified one, of everything that's done. I try to be as honest as I can. Now that it's on video form, I just go, I can't remember, but just watch the video.
It's all there.
We showed everything. So he's excited to get the car and have it just as is and start using it. And we discussed some of the things I would do if I kept the car longer. So, which is really flattering that he values or likes what we did and values my opinion on how if I keep the car forever, here's some things I had thought would be neat. So we discussed, like, if he wanted to change the look of the car but not cut into the car, he could have, like, an aluminum louvered hood top made and give it that early Dry Lakes kind of look where the guys were running those, and with leather straps or
a drop axle to drop the front a little bit.
He said he wanted to maybe lower it a little bit, and he's already got ideas of doing a chopped, because the windshield's chopped, a black chopped convertible top. And some different, and tonneau cover, and we actually pulled out the original tonneau cover from the DeLorean Roadster, laid it on the floor, and he got to see what, like, a real, like, one done back in the day looks like, and he was like, oh, this is amazing, and so it was really cool. I like when a customer that's local enough they can come see the car and talk about everything. It's much better, because I always have anxiety with selling a car overseas, or that the person hasn't physically seen the car, because you think you've shown everything, but, like, he can walk up on it and see every chip, every defect himself, so I don't feel like he's going to get the car and visually there's something that he didn't know about or see. So that part's really good.
Yesterday was pretty cool. So Brian is a pretty well-known jazz trumpet player, and our good friend Jerry, who does upholstery now full-time, is a jazz sax player. And the two of them have known each other online but never met in person, and Jerry's actually going to be redoing the seat in the car for Brian because he's a very tall fellow. He's actually taller than I am.
He has to, before he could drive the car, not to interrupt, he needs a seat done, so we're trying to coordinate us getting the car done, and I'm short, so I need to test drive the car for a little while to make sure that it's all sorted for Brian. But then Jerry also needs to be making a seat so that Brian can drive it right away. So it's like, it's a little, I don't love the way we're doing it because I'm not going to get to drive it as much as I'd like. But Because once he puts that seat in, I'm probably not going to be able to see over the steering wheel anymore.
I could always test drive it, too.
That's true.
Yeah, you have your resident tall fellow.
Yeah, there we go. But anyway, sorry, continue.
Jerry and Brian actually brought their trumpet and saxophone. And if you watch, this is coming out on Sunday. On Tuesday, if you watch the Week in the Life video, they played a song for us in the parts building. Like, the two of them just jammed together. And it was kind of
Killer.
One of the coolest things that's christened the new building. That's the coolest thing that's happened in there.
It was super cool because these two guys, again, they've never played together before, so it's very cool when you. And Jerry's actually was like for his career before he went full time with the upholstery thing, was a music teacher.
Yep.
So he literally his life has revolved around music his whole for his whole life, career, whatever. And so the two of them got together and did you hear them? They were like, "Do you want to do blah, 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 whatever the tune is?" And he goes, in a tune of F or whatever. And they're like, yeah. And then all of a sudden, Jerry just starts like 1, 2, 3. And it was like they've been playing together forever. And they were just going back and forth. It was really cool. Kind of neat. There was in front of like all those 32s and all that stuff.
There's a bunch of cool clips that Matt posted on social media. It was so neat to watch.
So, very cool. So now we have this idea. Those guys were throwing an idea together, and we've talked about it for a while.
IronTrap Jazz Ensemble.
Well, yeah, but we've been talking about for a while doing we're trying to get everything set up here and organized in a manner that maybe we'll do a little open house or picnic or a little party, but not a huge bash, more of just like local people. And, we're not going to have 3,000 people come here. So, but the two of them were like, it would be awesome. We could like play on top or play in the shop and get a few jazz guys together and just jam. And I'm like, dude, that would be amazing. Like, what would be cooler than having a bunch of people with hot rods show up, hang out, grill, have them play some old time, jazz. Yeah. And these guys are what I love. I nerded out on it. They were both playing vintage instruments. Yeah. So I think Brian's trumpet was 32 or 35.
No, it was 30. It was newer, quote unquote, than the 32. I think he said 5 years.
Oh, okay.
So it was like late 30s, early 40s, I think.
Yeah, and he'd played it for years with the patina, and then he had it fully restored.
Yep.
Jerry had a 50s
51, I think,
saxophone that was like original patina, quote unquote, which is actually an instruments, again, back to what we talk about with the perfectly shitty. Like sometimes instruments, like having the original finish on it and engraving is as important as a car with original paint that's aged. So I was kind of nerding out on that because Jerry was talking about how he found it, how it's very rare. And all of us in the room were into the same thing. So like I instantly gravitated to that and that. So again, to parlay into it. If the Week in the Life, there's going to be, we filmed like all of that. So it's pretty cool. If you enjoy that kind of stuff, you might.
This week's Week in the Life is probably one of the coolest because the video actually today, if you're listening to this, head to YouTube. There's a cool video. We went on a bomb run, picked up 2 cars or a car and a body, and we filmed some like just travel stuff that we've never really done before. Mm-hmm. Matt and I, bomb run across the Midwest and back. And then all the stuff with the two of them playing jazz. So it's kind of a very eclectic Week in the Life of.
But it's this is how our weeks have always been somewhat. It's just we didn't always film that because we were just doing proper videos. So it's a lot more fun. Yeah. Being able to share the lifestyle side of it. I'm thankful that our channel has got big enough and people follow what we do rather than just coming here for like a, how to do juice break swap. Yeah. So like now we're able to share all the fun stuff that we do that's just like, this is just our life, and it's really cool. I'm pouring coffee here into my cup. And a second cup of coffee of the day already.
And that, what you just said actually ties perfectly into what we're going to talk about today.
Let's get into it.
Yeah, our topic for the day is like how to start. We always get this question a ton, is like, how do you start a YouTube channel? How do you go about getting all the moving gears, get everything moving together, and start a quote unquote successful, I guess, YouTube channel?
Well, I guess we're also to try and give it a little more focus. This is going to be kind of automotive based. I guess some good automotive or gearhead type. I'm just going to use that broad term type channel because if you are doing video game reviews, it's going to be a different process or different things that we're saying may not make as much sense. So, we're going to talk about number one. Some of the stuff we did from day one that helped get our channel going pretty good. And then some of the things we did to switch it up over the years that helped us succeed. Some things that we noticed that did not.
Yeah.
Mike's going to get into some of the technical aspect of what gear we've used over the years, and as we've gotten bigger and gone full time, some of the gear that we've used, and good and bad.
Yeah.
And then hopefully that you can take some tips of that. The idea is if you want to start an automotive or motorcycle or whatever, social media brand or channel or whatever, some of these tips are what work for us, and it might be helpful for you, even if you want to do it for fun, or maybe you have aspirations of doing it full time and it being your full time gig. Hopefully we can help with some of that. Unlike some people that do YouTube or social media or channels, they like treat some of this. It's much like hot rodding stuff where people try and keep some of this stuff secret for no apparent reason. Like we like to share all this because, I mean, over the years I've had a number of people that have DM'd us, and they now have channels that are, growing or succeeding, or we've helped friends jumpstart channels, give them some love in the early days of their channel, and now they're like, I don't want to say anybody's like million view people, but like they're monetized now. They're making a little bit of money. They're, doing it, whatever, and trying at least give a little bit of help. Now we also can't give a free course on how to.
And a lot of the stuff with YouTube is just trial and error. There's no correct. Mm-hmm. There is a formula to do it correctly, but depending on the content that you produce, all of that changes.
Yeah.
So like the biggest YouTuber out there, Mr. Beast, has it down to a science.
Yeah.
But that science only works for the type of content that he creates.
Yeah.
So like you can try to apply that to what you're doing, but it doesn't always work.
Right.
And YouTube constantly changes too. So it's like we're going to try and help get you started, but it's a trial and error basis purely.
Right.
For what you're creating.
Yeah. So I would say the first thing so we're going to kind of start with how the process of when we started the channel, and the steps we did and the ideas and things like that we had, that, whatever. So I would say, and maybe take you along on the journey if you're thinking of doing the same. So if you're thinking of starting a channel or a brand or whatever it is that you want to do, and it's automotive or motorcycle based, the one thing that helped us, and I think it's a good idea for anyone, is you don't need to jump in day one by having a YouTube channel. If you want to create a brand, just start doing the social media thing. So for me, I worked at Eastwood for years, but I had a personal Instagram and forums. For anybody that's young, forums used to be a thing. I was big on the forums, and it was active, and so I had people knew me. I had a social media following from years of just doing normal, just sharing what you were working on and whatever. So I would say that's the biggest thing. If you're just kind of thinking about it, just start doing the Instagram. Nowadays it's TikTok, whatever, but like
Reels.
Like Instagram is probably the, for our basis is probably the most, popular one.
Yeah.
Facebook a little bit, but like just make some pages or make your account more, start gearing it more towards what you're looking to do. So I would say that if you're looking to get serious into this, you need to not post as much personal stuff. If you're trying to get a brand, again, I'm not trying to be rude. I don't post a lot of my personal life on our brand page because it's just, for me, I don't share every aspect of my, Kate and I went out to dinner and had a nice dinner and went to movies. I don't share every aspect of that. But I made a decision years ago that I was going to make it mostly automotive based. And over the years, I started cutting out posting that stuff because people that are following you, and we're going to echo this over and over again. If people are following you for car stuff, they're not really that interested in your what you had for dinner.
They are interested in your dog, though.
Yeah, your dog. But I think when you get to a certain point, which we're going to get into,
that's true.
People are interested. It's funny how it flips. So in the early days, if you want people to find you and be interested, you need to focus on the content that you're looking to do. So if you want to show welding content, then show your best welds that people are going to find you and start following you. And so start building up just social media in general. You don't need to start a YouTube channel on day one. It's really hard to create a brand and build a YouTube channel.
And I think building a YouTube channel is actually the harder aspect of it, because
100%.
the getting discovered on YouTube is actually breaking through the algorithm is actually kind of tough. But on Instagram, I mean, there's people that go quote unquote viral with like the dumbest stuff with very little effort.
And TikTok's even worse.
Yeah.
Even not worse, but even easier.
Yeah. So creating that brand on Instagram and TikTok or Facebook, whatever, gives you that little bit of leverage. So when you start a YouTube channel, you instantly start getting views. Because I've started YouTube channels. I've started many over the years before IronTrap with nothing. And the grind to get up there it's really, really tough.
Yeah. So
but all those channels did literally nothing. So I understand the grind to get nowhere, basically.
Yeah. So you have to, from the beginning, if you want to do this seriously, again, we're speaking to people that want to do this seriously or do something with it. The other thing I'll say is you need to kind of understand what you want to do with all of this from day one.
Yeah.
Like, I see a lot of people that are doing hot rod channels, or they're doing automotive or motorcycle, and we have friends that struggle with that we try and speak with. It's like, what do you want to do with this? If you're just doing it to share fun content and your journey, and that's it, great. Then you don't have to be as thoughtful about what you're doing. Do you have a hot rod shop and you want to get more customers? I'm going to get a little business focused here. If you're looking to get more customers, then you should be showcasing your work. And the great thing with social media is you don't have to sell at all. If you just show kick-ass cars you're building, I've talked about it before, we could have a turnkey hot rod shop tomorrow. If I wanted to hire some guys and flip the switch and start doing customer work, we could do it, because we do that. We share all that, but that's not the goal of our business. So you have to think about that. Do you work for a shop and you're a painter, body guy, and you want to go out on your own and start your own paint shop? Or just in your free time, start sharing body work and cars you've painted, and you'll see very quickly you're going to start getting people emailing saying, can you paint my car? And next thing you know, boom, you'll be full time and busier than you realize it with doing that stuff. But if you don't understand ahead of time what your goal is, it's hard to be focused on what your content is. So that's just the basic ideas you should have in your head. Have that conversation with yourself, and don't be afraid to have like lofty goals, you know. So when we started the channel, it was kind of like my goal was to not work for Eastwood anymore.
We both had we had that discussion when we started. This is a part-time thing now, but in the near to soon future, it could become a full-time thing. And we both had that conversation, more Matt with me, because he knew what he wanted. Is that something you would want to do eventually? And I was all in from the start.
Yeah, and I've talked with people early on, or people that are starting channels and different stuff, where we've had people that come to us with a business or whatever, or whatever it is, they're looking to start a channel. And I actually usually tell people, try and find a person you can trust or that you work well with to also start a channel with. And that's what Mike and I did. We kind of, like, in the beginning, made the agreement, neither of us are making any money, put in a fuck ton of hours, and then eventually, with the hopes that someday we're both going to be making some money off of this. So you need somebody that's also invested in the idea.
Equally as crazy.
Yeah. So, but we wouldn't have done as well as we did if I was doing everything on my own.
We've seen a bunch of friends that try to do, what people don't realize is the editing it can be as difficult and as time consuming. I mean, some of the videos we've put out that are obviously above and beyond, have a lot of production value to them.
Yep.
It might take me, 5 to 8 hours to edit. By the time, I send Matt a rough edit, we make changes and go back and forth, and you put it all together, there's almost 8 hours of time. And for a person that's doing that by themselves, doing all the filming, doing all the work, doing all the editing, you put together a 30-minute video and it's like a week's worth of your time, and you made $0.
Yeah, and you got 18 views. So if you have two people that are working together, and maybe both of you do the work, but the one person is more heavily the video guy, or editor, that's very helpful. So I think it's good to partner with another person. It's very hard, and if you're fortunate enough that you have a partner, husband, wife, whatever, that girlfriend, boyfriend, whatever, roommate, somebody that you're, living with, whatever, that makes it a little easier because you can just do that. Like in my instance, or both of our instances, our significant others are not super interested in the car thing. I mean, they support it, but they're not like
diehards.
Yeah, your wife and my girlfriend are not like out here turning wrenches with us, and and they can hold the camera.
Yeah.
So if you're fortunate enough, great. That's kind of like the natural progression. Like maybe your wife can, you're the fabricator, and your wife can help with doing the editing, and it makes it a little easier. So, but yeah, so that would be the other big tip, is see if you can find somebody. So, so those are two things. Make sure focus, a goal of what you're looking to do, so you can and zone in on what your thing is. Don't jump around and be doing scooters one day and hot rods another day, and that makes it really hard to break through when you're all over the place.
And you can test that stuff, because we've done some of that testing of different styles of content, and those are things to test once you're a little bit further along. I think in the basis of your channel, building a good core audience is the goal. But if you're constantly changing what you're doing, there's never going to be a core audience, because it's a group comes in, sees what you're doing, and then a week later you've gone totally left field. Those people are going to leave.
Yep.
A new group comes in, and then you change again, and it's just this. It doesn't. No one really sticks around to watch because they're confused.
And we've seen channels. I kind of review channels and analytics a little bit on YouTube occasionally, not as often as I used to, but you'll see channels that were very successful, like we're getting tons of views, and even sometimes you go to their channel and they have a lot of subscribers. It's impressive, They have 500,000 subscribers, and then you start looking at their videos, and in the last 2 years, they're getting like 800 views. The views have gone down, and I can literally go through and see the week or the month that the change happened. The person was doing like will it run videos for a long time, getting tons and tons of videos, and all of a sudden they switched, and now they're doing like farming videos.
Yeah.
And it's like you just lost most of those subscribers. You just lost, and they just didn't hit unsubscribe. They just don't watch your videos anymore. And it's like, what really matters is, are you getting consistent views? And if your views, year over year suddenly are like a third, it's probably your content. It's not the algorithm, it's you.
And at that point, if you're doing really, really well and you're consistent in what you're uploading, if you want to change content, just start another channel.
Yeah.
Because that's, it's more detrimental to your original channel to just do something different than just not upload.
Yeah. Don't be stubborn. If you're treating this serious, that goes back to having a vision and making a goal of what you want to do with the channel or the brand or whatever. If you started off with an idea that you want your brand to be automotive based or whatever you're doing to be like, why are you doing farming
or cooking videos?
Cooking videos, like that's like having a repair shop and they come in and you've been doing inspections forever, and then all of a sudden they come in one day and you're like, we're going to also do Pilates now. I'm like, what?
Our inspection bay is now our Pilates studio.
So can I sell you a Pilates membership? And people are like, what? I'm not coming back here. So it's the same thing. I mean, just think of it like a brick and mortar store. Like if you just totally 180, you're going to lose customers. They're not coming to you for Pilates. They're coming to you to get their car inspected. And that's great if you love Pilates and in your off time you want to do that. But like Mike said, start a separate channel and in your off time do that.
Yeah.
So early on, what did we? I don't remember any of this stuff with the techie stuff. What did we start off with in the very beginning, as far as gear went?
So not back then. I mean, so we started in 2017. So the technology's changed a lot of what people are starting channels with now. I had an old Sony point and shoot camera that I just had kicking around forever. I mean, at the point of us starting our channel, I think that camera was like 5 to 7 years old, which is pretty old for technology. Yeah, it might as well have been shooting on a reel-to-reel camera at that point.
Yeah.
But it was an old Sony point and shoot, and Matt and I had the discussion. We'll just use what we have kicking around, because I had like an old Mac computer, MacBook laptop, and we were like, I got this old camera, I got this computer that I can edit on. We need to invest $0 off the jump, and we can get rolling. And if you watch some of our early videos, the production value is obviously not that great, but we were creating the content to get started, and then over time we have upgraded.
And that's probably a good point that I've heard you tell people, I've told people. A lot of people get, and this is why we're covering this, people get hyper-focused to starting a channel on getting, like, what camera to use, how's your channel doing? Oh, I'm going to start a channel. Like, you don't need some super high-end SLR camera with mics and all this stuff. If no one's watching your video, if no one's watching it, no one can even give a shit.
And some of the biggest channels they use iPhones.
Yeah.
So I'll go into some examples here. There's huge channels, Whistling Diesel and Cletus McFarlane are big automotive YouTubers. All of the 99% of their content is filmed with iPhones and like plug-in like wireless lav mics.
I didn't realize that. Yeah.
They hardly ever use. I think Whistling Diesel has a camera guy now that uses a nice camera, but for years it was all shot on iPhones with like a Bluetooth wireless lav mic. Nothing fancy. Everyone has an iPhone or some sort of smartphone with a good camera. The new iPhones have like some of the best cameras out there that you can carry in your pocket. They film good video, but the audio is not great. So you could start with an iPhone.
And you can do, I mean, what a cheap lav mic that you could use with your iPhone is.
I mean, the ones that we just bought, the DJI ones, I think they make one that works with the iPhone. It's like $100, $200 at the max.
So instead of buying some crazy,
I mean, a good DSLR with a good lens and a microphone, it's like $1,500.
Yeah, so you could buy a tripod with a phone holding device or attachment and a lav mic setup.
Or they even make shotgun mics that plug into the side.
Yeah.
We've used them before.
Yeah. So
that are dirt cheap.
So for maybe a $200 or $300, you could have the basis for what you need. So you can put it on a tripod, film yourself. You can have a mic so that your sound is a little better, or you can have a external mic that you plug in. Either way, but like, so there's not a lot. Don't overthink it.
And you can also edit on your phone. So like, you don't need if you don't have a laptop or an iPad or anything, you can start and run a YouTube channel literally from your phone, because they have apps you can download for doing thumbnails, for editing the video. Everyone overcomplicates it and thinks you need a whole production studio to film YouTube videos, and you really don't.
Yeah, and honestly, the whole idea is to get the process down.
Yeah.
You need to get used to filming, editing, and doing content in general, and then you can perfect it. So in the early videos when we were doing it, Mike was you were using a free.
Apple, I don't know if it's on iPads, but on the Mac computers you have iMovie.
Yeah, it's on there.
Okay, it's just a free.
It's on your phone too. I bet I've used.
Oh, really?
It before. Yeah.
I think I usually delete all that stuff on my phone.
Yeah, I have iMovie. I've done it before for like Instagram or social media clips or TikTok clips. I've edited them with iMovie and put it together.
I mean, the first, I don't know, year or so of us doing it was all done on iMovie. It was something I learned in high school.
Right.
So, and I edited on it for my other YouTube channel. So it was like, it's like riding a bike, just get back into it and click around. And if you're not doing anything highly technical, you don't need to pay for Final Cut Pro or Premiere Pro.
And that's the thing we seem to think is people they start watching all these YouTube videos on gear.
Yeah.
And then they come to us, they're like, yeah, I'm thinking of starting a channel. I want to get Final Cut Pro and an SLR and this. I'm like, whoa, you're going to invest like $5,000 and you got 0 followers.
Yeah, it's like a dude that's just getting into riding a motorcycle, and they're like, I went to the Harley dealer. Yeah. They bought a $50,000 motorcycle. Like, have you ever ridden before? I'm like, yeah, a little bit. It's like, well,
I got the jacket, I got the boots, I got they got all the instant biker stuff.
I'm going to tell you, you're probably going to lay that $50,000 motorcycle down at some point. It's bound to happen.
Get a junker.
Learn how to ride.
So early on, we started with very basic stuff we just had laying around.
Yeah.
So I think nowadays, like Mike's kind of getting into, is like if you have an iPhone or a smartphone, you can pretty much start a channel. Just buy some stuff off Amazon, a tripod, the attachments, a mic. You don't even really need the mic at first. You could just have your iPhone and a way to put it on a tripod or a selfie stick, and you could film a lot of stuff. Given it's probably not going to be as good as it could be, but that gets you started. I think the process is getting it down, how to shoot videos, what you want to do. A lot of people have to get over. We didn't have to do any of this because but getting over talking on camera.
Talking to a camera is the most.
Yes.
I was okay with it, but over the years I've obviously gotten better. But it's a very awkward thing to get over.
And editing, like, I don't have to deal with that, but like editing yourself.
Too many times I look at myself and go, "You look like an idiot. You sound like a dumbass. Stop it."
Yeah. So like, and then putting a video on YouTube and seeing yourself on there, like, you have to just lose all of your, you can't be vain anymore. Like, oh my God, that little thing on, whatever. I had a smudge of dirt on my face. I say my S is funny. Like, you have to be able to embrace everything that sucks about yourself and be okay with it. So that part's a little hard. So doing that content and getting used to all that early on when no one's watching is great. You don't want to be, if you got 500,000 followers and you can't speak to the camera, people aren't. You're never going to get to that point because people aren't going to. It's hard to watch.
And another thing you can do that we kind of did a little bit. Our first video we shot twice actually because we edited. I edited it, and our first camera the viewfinder when you shot in video it actually cropped a little bit. So like the first video I edited, it was Matt's forehead down. You couldn't see his whole head. So like, don't be afraid to just film a couple videos and edit them, and maybe you put them on YouTube, but you don't make them public. If you make them private, you can share a link to people and have them view them and just see what people think. You don't have to flick the switch, film a video, edit it, and just put it right out. There's nothing wrong with taking your time and seeing how you like the process before you just dive in head first. Send it to your family or close circle of friends and be like, thinking of starting a YouTube channel. I shot a couple videos. Here's a few. Tell me what you think.
And you want, like, we have a group of friends in a group chat that's our close friends, and we all BS, but we also, like, it's kind of for our channel, and we share a lot of stuff to our friends ahead of time, like, what do you think, or T-shirt designs or whatever. And most of those dudes are, this is what I'm getting at, like, when you're doing that, don't send it to your mom who's never told you anything. You looked, even when you were 13 and had that terrible bowl cut, she told you look handsome.
You want some very blunt and honest friends.
Yeah. So look for those friends that are gonna be honest with you, or you have to pitch it ahead of time. Like, hey, look, cue this up. Like, it's okay if you tell me it sucks. Just tell me what you honestly think. And then you're going to get those feedback, and then you can correct those things. Because a lot of times people are too nice.
100%.
We even still struggle with that because some of our friends will just be like, oh, yeah, it looks all right. And it's like, it doesn't. They don't, it's not bad enough that they want to tell us, but they're, so we try and be, you want people that are going to be blunt with you about it. So maybe if you have a sibling that's always been rough on you, as a, you like, show it to them and they're like, this sucks, that sucks. I told you couldn't say your S's correctly.
God damn it.
Whatever. Practice that. So that's the basics of getting into it. Don't get anything crazy. But this whole time you should be working on putting regular content out. That's the other thing that we're going to echo the whole time. When we very early on with starting our channel, and this is from me. Literally, it's great that I don't work for Eastwood anymore because I can say this stuff and people
you dog them a little bit.
A little bit. So Eastwood has still to this day has never got the idea that you need to put out regular content and treat it like if you're trying to create a channel where people are going to watch you regularly, you need to create content regularly and train your viewers. I fought with this my whole fucking time at Eastwood, and even to this day, I don't follow their channels closely anymore, but even to this day, they're just shooting from the hip. It's like, let's put a video out today, and that, like, you need to put out content regularly so people come looking. So even if the problem with a lot of people that watch YouTube now, unless you're young and really tech savvy, is that they don't always get queued up your content when it comes out, and a lot of viewers, especially if you're doing like hot rod and old car based, most of our viewers are a little older. Maybe they stream it on the TV and they don't understand how notifications works. Sometimes they're not even subscribed. We probably have a lot more subscribers than what it shows on our account, because there's a lot of people that follow us that they don't know how to subscribe. And they just watch it on their streaming device on TV or whatever, smart TV. So like, you need to train people once you start the channel that, like, we do beginning it was Fridays, right?
Friday at 7 a.m.
That was every Friday. And then with the idea that a lot of people on Fridays, if you work an office type job or whatever, or any type of job, a lot of times Fridays are a little more lax. So even if you're on a lunch break, you might watch our channel. And then also it queues it up for the weekend. So if you have free time on a Saturday morning or a Sunday morning, you could watch our videos. And then I don't remember what we did.
Tuesday.
We did Tuesday next?
Yeah, so Friday was Sweetheart Roadster.
Yep.
And we did a couple trip videos sprinkled in, or just adventure stuff. And then when we decided to build the free tea, that became, we're going to do free tea updates on Tuesday.
Oh, right.
Sweetheart Roadsters on Friday.
Okay, got it.
And then I don't remember when Sunday happened, but it just, not long after the Tuesday, we saw a big jump in our views, and we went, what's 3 days a week? What's one more video a week?
And I was pushing pretty hard with that. I mean, again, at that point, I was very focused. But I used to try and once, I had that idea when I worked at Eastwood, but like, unfortunately, because of big business, I didn't have enough say to make that decision and test stuff like I would have liked. So like we were doing on our channel was fantastic because we were just like, you know what, let's try another day. Oh, you know what, we're getting more views and more people are watching. So like, you need to train people to pick a day or something regularly, and it doesn't have to be as aggressive as we are. You can just do once a month, and it's like the third Friday of the month I put my videos out, and you got to just keep telling people.
It's a formula that's as old as TV broadcasting.
Yes. Yep.
I mean, every syndicated TV show had a set day and time that you would turn your TV. For our young followers that don't watch cable TV, you just knew what came on at 8 o'clock on a Friday. It was ingrained in you from commercials and from watching TV. You knew 8 o'clock, we all sit down as a family and we watch this TV show.
We saw, and I definitely thought about it, that like we had an interesting time where we were coming into YouTube where I saw a hole, and Power Block TV, for any older people or people that aren't super young, Power Block TV was like one of those things that everybody on the weekend, like you watched, you were trained, and you would, car guys and gals would, tune in. So like that kind of started fading away with normal TV going away. And it's like, well, there's a hole now. People are looking on YouTube. So if we train them the same as Power Block, where you know that you're going to see hot rod content these days of the week. So we had to hardcore. And the other thing is you can't, once you go all in, you can't miss because you're lazy or you don't feel like it or whatever. You can't miss. We've almost never missed a video.
We've missed an upload time of 7 a.m. from some technicals. Like I've lost internet. But we've never not uploaded a video.
I thought we did like one time.
I don't.
Early on, I think there was like one time that we didn't put a video out.
We just didn't have the content.
Yeah, I think it was like when we were working full-time jobs and something didn't get done. And it was just like, I was struggling on something. We're like, oh, shit, I guess we're just not putting a video out. It was like one time. But like,
even in the last 5 years, we've never missed an upload.
Definitely.
I've missed an upload time, like I've said. We've just...
Technical reasons, yeah.
I lose internet or I forget to hit a button and it doesn't go live at 7.
And we had one time in recent years where we put a video up, but for family difficulties, it was a picking video. We had to pull it down. That happened 2 years ago or something like that. But like for the most part, like what we're trying to say is consistency. So make sure that you pick some time. It also is good for yourself because it gives you deliverables. So if you're going to make that, statement, then you now have this responsibility, or you should have this responsibility, or feel like you should, that you need to the third Friday, I need to get a video out. So in the back of your head, you got to like get it done. And again, if you want to be serious about this and you're trying to create a brand or promote your business or grow whatever, if you're not serious and you can't even do this one fucking simple thing, you're not going to succeed at business. I mean, this is the simple things. You're not going to grow your business through social media or a channel if you're not, putting this stuff out like you should. So we picked that early on. We went right to 3 days a week. In the very beginning, when we had day jobs, it was super hard.
There was a lot of times. So I live about 20 minutes away, not super far, but there was many times that I used to work a 12-hour shift, 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. I would literally leave work at 6 p.m., drive 20 minutes here, pick up a memory card, drive 20 minutes back. Since we started the channel, I always had kids, put the kids to bed, or kid, single, and then edit a video and literally upload it that night for the next morning. There was a lot of late nights, and the way that we would shoot content, sometimes there'd be technical problems, and I had to figure it out because there was an upload. There's many nights I was up till pretty early in the morning trying to figure out, or running my generator because I lost power, running my generator to power my internet router so I could upload a YouTube video. We do it all for IronTrap.
Dedication.
Yes.
There. So but that just goes to show, like, you know, we're probably extreme with some of this, but like a lot of people struggle with social media because they get bummed out that they're not getting the views they want, or they're not monetized as quickly. So they just get lazy, and you start, I don't really feel like editing that video. I'm going to go out drinking with my friends instead of, like, so again, if you want to focus the time, you need to put the time in, even when it sucks. It's just like losing weight or being a bodybuilder. Like, you're not going to instantly have a six-pack overnight. You got to put in a lot of time to get there. And anything you want to get good at or succeed with, you have to do. I'm still working on the six-pack.
Yeah, mine's covered up. Something I want to touch back on that you mentioned. When we started our channel, we noticed there was a hole of no early traditional style content. Do you think?
Well, I want to correct that a little bit. There wasn't anyone that was doing it regularly.
Yes.
So I have to give. I always will give shout outs.
Oh, yeah,
and props to Piero. Piero and Mad Fabricators. He was doing this way before even YouTube was as big as it is.
He was selling DVDs.
DVDs, and Piero, he paved the way for what we do. So I'm going to always give him love for that, because he kind of inspired our channel.
Yeah.
What I wanted to do with the channel was definitely inspired by him. Piero, unfortunately, was, because he was so early, he was doing the DVD thing, and then they were trying to do their own streaming service, and they were actually just too early.
Yeah.
That's what it was. I think if they did it now, it would be more successful, or when Motor Trend was kind of trying to do it. And we just saw that there wasn't regular content.
And there wasn't. Piero did a lot more of the lifestyle and car show stuff.
And it was, his stuff's always going to be better produced, because
and more documentary style.
Yep.
Yeah, we saw there was a large hole in the technical building aspect of traditional hot rods.
Yeah, there was regular, so there was people putting out content, but it was very sporadic.
Yeah.
And they weren't focusing on getting a brand or a channel started on social media. It was maybe a builder that was very talented, and a shop would just randomly put videos out once a year, or whatever, and so we were like, okay, we're going to be the first ones to really put something out that people can just watch. And that was for me working at Eastwood. I saw all these other facets of the hobby that were successfully doing. A lot of the younger people, drifting channels, and even hot rod, with roadkill and different stuff like that. I'm like, they're all successfully doing this. But as far as the nostalgic stuff goes and focusing only on that little part of it, no one's really going all in on that.
Yep.
And that's where we saw that, and we made that decision. So, yeah, it's a good point. We kind of did like.
So doing your research helps. I mean, nowadays there's very little holes in the market to fill. But do your research, see what other channels are doing out there. If you want to do, drifting content, look at all the big drifting channels and just see what they're doing to get an idea of what videos do well. Some of the best ways to learn how to produce good YouTube videos is literally just watching how other people make YouTube videos.
And I would say we've seen it already now that we've been doing it a while. Don't look at another channel and just knock off what they're doing.
Yeah, don't copy. There's nothing wrong with emulating it, but don't copy it.
Make it your own. Yeah, like don't try and just. And we struggle with that. Like we've even tested some stuff, even as recently as doing thumbnails. Like we look at what other channels do, and we try and like copy or emulate. And it doesn't work for us. Like, we give it up right away. So we were doing thumbnails recently in the beginning of this year. I started looking at thumbnails and similar channels that are larger than us that were doing, like, content that was no better than what we're doing as far as, like, the quality of production or whatever goes. And we're like, they're getting, like, more views. And I'm like, well, what are they doing? Well, maybe their thumbnails are better. So we started looking at, like, are thumbnails better? And YouTube now does a A/B test.
Yeah, so if you ever see a video and you watch it and then you come back and the thumbnail looks different, that's because we're trying to do a test to see what draws people in more.
And what do we find?
Our formula of thumbnail that I've been doing for, 5-7 years now is the most, because people recognize it, they know it, which may be a downside. It may have not been the best thumbnail design over the years, but people kind of realize it's our thumbnail just from the way that I've done them for 800 videos. They just see it and instantly know that's an IronTrap video.
But we didn't. So the thing to learn from that is, and what I'm trying to say is, we didn't just like insist on because XYZ channel's doing it and they get a ton of views that it's their thumbnail, and we just like went all in and just blindly did it. We tried it 2-3 times, and then Mike, you know, kind of like texted me one day and was like, dude, every single one we've done, our original, you know, the thumbnail I've been doing forever, our version does better. It's like, okay, well, then we did the test 5 times of doing it, and every single one, our original thumbnail does better. Well, that doesn't work for us. It works, the bright yellow font with the this and the that and all this extra shit doesn't work for us. It works for this other person who gets a lot more views than us. So it's not that. People are just watching their content because they're, you know, they're sold into what they're doing more than us.
And some of those channels were, like, a lot of bigger channels don't upload super regularly. Like,
true, yeah, they're not as often as us.
You go to some of these bigger channels, they might do once a week. I mean, some of the really good channels are only doing like once every 2 weeks, just because it's their business has evolved into many facets, and then YouTube's kind of taken a back burner. Yeah, but it's, for us, as much content as we're putting out, the way that we've been doing it seems to be the most consistent for views.
Right. And another good example, and this was difficult for me early on. When we started the channel, I was very hardcore. It was super tech heavy, only heavy build content, no BS. And you have to remember, I came during that time I was working at Eastwood, and we covered in other podcasts where, like, I was very frustrated because there was a person that was running the marketing department there that was a piece of shit, and don't
pull that punch whatsoever.
Yeah, that dude sucked. So he had no clue what he was doing, and he basically watered it down. We were doing QVC style marketing, which is terrible.
My favorite era of Matt.
Yeah, so I was very frustrated. We started the channel, so thank you to that piece of shit that made our channel awesome, and now we are on our own. So, but I was frustrated because I wasn't able to do like actual how-to content and technical content and build videos there anymore because of that person running things, and we went super heavy into it. But what we found was too tech heavy isn't good for a mass audience.
Yeah.
And over the years, you've probably noticed we've gotten less and less and less tech heavy because I had to turn my ego off and be like, you know what? Just because that's the content that I consume in my personal time, that isn't the broad audience. And we very quickly started realizing it's like, what's that? We call it the American Pickers effect, where like people watch American Pickers just because they think old stuff is neat.
Yeah.
But they don't watch it because they want to. That's why American Pickers will just stop in for 15 seconds and show one of his cars getting restored. But they don't show him how he's restoring it.
And if you think about it, that's how Power Block was.
Yeah, true. Yep.
You get, you have your minute-long talking segment of them explaining what they're doing, and then, hey, it's done. Let's fire up the car. Yeah, yeah. And it's they glaze over the heavy technical stuff because that people just lose interest just because some guys aren't as hardcore.
Right. So we started figuring out like what's the blend. So even though in the beginning I wanted to just be this hardcore building, and even I guess we dance around it now, but I was being too abrasive with the swearing and rawness and whatever. And we do still drop the F-bomb. I mean, we're doing it here a whole bunch, but like we don't do it as much anymore. But in the early videos, I was because I was frustrated. I was just very abrasive. Like, it's going to be raw and like punk rock and it just swear and do whatever you want. And, like all that stuff. And it's like, okay, well, if we want to go to the masses, maybe that not as much of that. We need to tone it down just a little bit. And we started figuring that out. And it's doing, and we did some like picking videos early on. And we started figuring out like, oh, people kind of enjoy this. And I love that kind of stuff. Hey, I watch American Pickers.
Yeah.
Maybe we should show a little bit of that. And that is where we blended our content into,
The only thing I will say about the heavy technical is I think it helped us build a very good core audience of, dudes that are super serious about this stuff and want to learn the technical aspect.
Agreed.
That did help. It didn't, our early videos, we weren't burning the world down, but we also weren't getting like 5 views.
True, yeah, and but that goes back to I had built a social media.
Correct, yeah.
I had a following in normal social media, so when we just posted, I already had 10,000 followers on Instagram or something. So when I posted, hey, we're starting a YouTube channel, boom, right away we had. I mean, how long did it take us to get to the monetization? Not real long.
So that was the other thing. It's easier to be monetized now than it used to be. Remember?
I don't remember that.
It was.
I thought it was eeasier for us, but maybe
no. It's hard. It was harder for us.
Oh, okay.
They actually lessened. So when YouTube first got monetized, 2011, 2012, when it was like the heyday, 2010.
People were like getting rich off YouTube.
Making millions.
Yep.
That went on for a couple of years. Then they made some changes. And to be monetized, I think you had to get to 10,000 subscribers.
Was that much?
I'm pretty sure. I have to go back and look. But
wow.
it was...
So we were doing it for quite a while before.
I think it was almost 2 years we made $0.
Holy shit.
And then even when we start, if you have a YouTube channel and you get monetized, you have to be pulling some numbers to make some money.
Yeah.
I mean, even now, we really... In the grand scheme of things, we don't make that much money from YouTube. So... I have to look. I think first 2 or 3 years, probably the first 2 years, we didn't make we made less than $1,000.
Yeah. It wasn't real money, but that was again back to what we said early on. What is your goal and your vision of what you're looking to do? And if you're looking to be a YouTuber, then yes, views and subscribers are what matters.
Yeah.
For us, we weren't looking for that specifically. I think in the beginning, I didn't fully have a vision as to let's start a business. I was just trying to, we were trying to get content out and grow something. And I had ideas of what we could do, but it wasn't as set in stone as it is now. So, but then and as far as technology and gear goes, after a couple years, we upgraded, right?
Yeah, so at some point, I think it was right around when we did the Packard video.
Okay.
When we helped them pull it out, we made the decision that we needed to... Our camera that we had, I couldn't put a shotgun mic on, which is the microphone that's mounted to a camera.
Yep. And we needed our sound to be better. We had some viewers, but people were commenting listen to your viewers, watch your comments.
Yeah.
If there's anything you could do, read your comments, every single one.
Production wise, don't listen to them tell you how to build a car.
Well, it's still good to read every comment and feel the temperature of what's going on, because you can learn a lot from reading your comments and again turn your ego off.
Yep.
And you can learn a lot. So we were getting a lot of comments that were like, your sound sucks, this is hard to watch,
echoey as shit.
Yeah, blah blah blah. So we were like, okay, we need to do something.
And some of that I could have, now knowing what I know now, we could have fixed some of that in post.
Yeah.
There's filters you can apply to get rid of echo, that kind of stuff. But we made a conscious decision that we needed to upgrade, and at that point it was a decision of, do we go with a very regular video camera or a DSLR? And I was doing some research, and I follow some cinematic YouTube channels, and we made the decision to go with a DSLR, which is just a regular camera that you can film on because of the lens change. Mm-hmm. I can put, I have 5 to 10 different lenses that we can put on there.
And we wanted the ability to put a slightly wide angle lens on, because the lens that came with it, with how packed the shop is, or sometimes you're working in a corner, you can't get the whole. So we have a very slightly wide angle, but not
it's not a fisheye.
Yes, but it helps us get the whole car or more of the whole scene in. And I learned that was something at Eastwood I noticed they started doing, was getting a slightly wider angle so they could get more in a close-up shot.
Yeah, if you watch some of our videos, you think the camera's 10 foot away. It's 2 foot away. That's how wide of a lens we have. But we go even wider, but then you get that weird fishbowl look.
And it helps with the sound. So if you don't have a lav mic, if you get the camera closer, the sound is a little better. So that was our whole reasoning behind that.
And Matt and I had a discussion. We wanted to do some documentary style filming, and for that you need different lenses to get that right look of focus and out of focus. So we made the decision to go with a DSLR, and there's 10 different brands. We just picked one that I was comfortable with for my research. We use Canon cameras for all of our DSLRs. We have 2 of them now. We have one that just basically lives in the shop.
And do you remember the model roughly?
That is a 70D. We're going to be upgrading that. I'm going to be buying a better camera for travel and documentary stuff.
But we've used the 70D for years.
So before that, we had another one before that.
Oh, yeah, okay.
I don't remember I think that might have been a 60D.
Okay.
It's a more base level. You can't shoot 4K, but it does video.
So for nowadays, because things have upgraded so quickly, if you had a 70D, that's what a lot of the shop content you're seeing in. The footage is decent. It's not documentary level, but it's acceptable. So that's a good one. If you're looking to jump into the DSLR, that's the one that we use currently. And up until just recently, we were just using a shotgun mic on the top of it.
Yeah.
If you're thinking about doing the channel thing, that is the easiest way to get good quality content without all kinds of extra technology. So I like the shotgun mic because it was like, when I worked at Eastwood, it was always a pain in the ass. I had the lab mic, and you got to do sound checks, and then sometimes you film stuff, and the sound wasn't transmitting. And it was like, I was kind of like gun shy with that because I didn't want us to film a whole day of content and then it doesn't have sound. So the shotgun mic, you just plug it in, it gets better sound. It doesn't pick up as much of the external background noise as much.
Wind noise too.
Yeah, so it helps with all that. So that's like the formula. Like, so if you're trying to like take notes here or learn anything, 70D with the shotgun mic, and you can pretty much shoot decent content that's acceptable.
And the good thing about DSLRs is people get them for Christmas to shoot photos, become a photographer. Go on Facebook Marketplace. There's always deals to be had for DSLRs. You don't have to buy the high-end 6D or 5D, the professional cameras. The grade that we use is like the in-between. It's not basic, but it's not like the high-end ones. And the camera that we use for travel is a 90D. It's a few steps up. Shoots 4K. And, I think I paid $1,000 with a pile of lenses.
Nice.
It's like I sold 2 or 3 of those lenses, and you got a camera for next to free. And then you buy a couple extra lenses that fit what we were doing. And it's like we can film all of our travel videos that have like really good footage were filmed with that.
And the nice thing with those cameras are you can do as little or as much as you want with them. So like the 60D has a lot more capabilities than what I use. I just put it on auto, and I want to make it as simple as possible. So if you're not as tech savvy, you can literally just put it on auto, record it, and all you need to do is make sure the lens is clean from schmutz. Which
we just bought a new lens last year because the one
I'm
that was
terrible with lenses.
Dude, the lens that was on there was getting. If you watch some videos from last year, like anything outside, there's all these sunspots because the outside of the lens was just melted from weld splatter and grinding towards it.
And that's one thing you have to understand is in a shop setting. The camera's gonna potentially get some issue. Things will happen, but you have to just understand that. But like that camera will do a lot. You could shoot photos with it. You can, and another thing that we didn't do early on and we're better at now is get as big of a memory card as you can find because.
And as many as you can afford.
Yeah. So we now have pretty large memory cards, so we can actually shoot 5, 7 minute, 15-minute clips. And now Mike can use them as time lapse. So like you don't have to be constantly touching the camera as much. You can just put it in a good spot, let it run, and as long as your battery life is good, you can record a 15-minute clip of you like cutting something or doing something. You don't have to be touching the camera. And a lot of the way I film in the shop, it's more difficult for editing, but it's easier for filming, is I will just turn the camera on. If I knew I'm doing something mundane that doesn't need description, we just let it run. And I guess it's probably more of a pain for you, but like
it can be for editing because I have to look through the entire clip and see like sometimes he turns the camera on and forgets and walks out of frame 5 minutes in and it's a 30-minute clip and there's literally nothing. There's been multiple clips that he's filmed something, wrapped up for the end of the day, cleaned up, shut the lights off, and left. And
the camera's still running.
And like the DSLRs, they only film for 29 minutes and
shut off,
55 seconds, and then they shut off.
Okay.
So like, there's also been times where we use a GoPro sometimes or action cam for time lapse stuff. Matt will forget, and there'll be 3 hours of the lights off in the shop
Oh,
because he
Jesus.
like turns it on, does a bunch of stuff, and they will just film till they run out of memory card space or the battery dies.
Yeah.
So there's been a bunch of times.
But at least that if you see me shut the lights off and close the door, you can just clip the end of that clip. I'm not coming back in like surprise, flip the lights on. So, but like there is times, that like or somebody will come and visit, and I'll walk over and talk, and it's like so it makes it a little harder for filming. But like the nice thing is you can do time lapse. So if you get a big memory card and you have an DSLR camera, you can film some longer clips that you can then turn into time lapse. You could also pull little pieces out of that in the editing. So it's all about making it easier for filming in the a garage setting. I think that
another good thing I just thought of when we're talking about this is figure out a way to shoot videos in a easy to edit format. That's one good thing about what we do. Is there's a very clear start and finish line in the filming.
Yep.
So as long as we shoot an intro and an outro before anything major happens to the vehicle, which we're not always great at sometimes.
Yeah, that's me.
Our filming process is very straight in a line. Matt films the process along the way. There's very little, post-production where I'm taking clips and moving them front and back. And this goes before this. It's usually just a straight line. And I go through and I chop it up into a video. So figuring out a process for you to film in a way that makes the editing easier for either your editing person or for yourself will help streamline the process. And we've gotten it down to a very good system over the years.
Yeah, and it's just like while you're doing the work, the hard part is if you're the person doing the work and you're also filming, you have to be thinking while you're doing the work what point of the project is important to stop and show. So if you watch our content, a lot of it is like it's time lapse, do a bunch of work, and then we'll stop and we kind of do an update before we go further. If you do too much time lapse and too much happens, then you get back to that power block thing where it's like, you're such big jumps in the stuff that it's hard to show.
Yeah.
So try and in your head be like, oh, you know what, this is kind of important, or if maybe you struggled with something, or this is something that's like an aha moment, stop. Film that, talk about it, show it, because that's the stuff that we found that people take the most out of it. If you're trying to learn
the problem solving,
that people enjoy that. So if you stop and show that stuff, successes and failures, people appreciate that. We've noticed, and the hard part is when you're filming by yourself, it's not always as easy to get that. But like if you're thinking ahead with your project, you're like, oh, I'm gonna be doing this major transformation of the panel where it's going to go from a flat piece of metal to having shape, well, you probably should make sure you get some filming or explain along the way what you're doing.
Yep.
And that will help. So just thinking as you're working and getting used to a hard thing people can't get over is slow down. It's going to take way longer to do work.
Always. Because
you're filming. And if you're letting the work be your only thing, then you're not going to get good footage. So we have to balance that where stuff takes longer. You have to move the camera around. You have to make sure you're in frame. And, sometimes it's frustrating for me sometimes because I know that I could get something done a lot quicker, but I have to rearrange the camera or move it or stop. And, the battery's dead. The memory card's full. But you have to do that if you're trying to give it a go to really put out content. You can't just be like, screw it, I'm not going to film this. And then not have any footage and then go, it's done.
And we've run into that also for like week in the life of videos. Now that we do more of the vlog style weekly content, we do stuff and we're like, shit, we should have filmed that. People would have loved that.
It's hard to do that when you're getting stuff done. It's like, pushing cars around and stuff like that. You just like, let's just quick push the car and then we push it and we're like, oh crap, we should have turned the camera on. So
there's an endless list of things over the years that we've done where like even earlier where it would have been like, we could have just made a video about that, doing that. We get done and we both look at each other and we're like, really should have filmed that. That would have probably been a neat video. Like, oh, shit.
So trying to get better at that. But like, I think
all these things, we struggle. It's not like we're perfect and this is the formula. We're constantly going through all of these same things every day as we film YouTube content.
Yeah. So, and another start of stuff that I think is people struggle with is everybody's doing merch these days. So people get a YouTube channel and they have 50 subscribers and they're trying to I think hard selling on social media and your channel before you get a follower base, it isn't always a good look. If anybody, everybody will probably notice that we do not hard sell hardly ever, hardly ever. And even in the early days, we weren't hard selling.
And if you'd like to buy some merch, head to IronTrapGarage.com. We have a pre-sale going on right now for a new shirt. So I'll just hard sell that for 30 seconds.
There's a hard sell.
Continue.
But we see it with a lot of people. They just get a channel and they have 50 subscribers, and then they print 500 T-shirts, and they're trying to hawk T-shirts. And it's like, if you need to sell T-shirts to make money to keep the channel going, you're probably not doing it exactly right. You probably should be able to float the channel for free for a little while, because it just, I think a lot of people tune out if you're hard selling, early on. Now, again, once you have a following and you have a base and you learn how to sell in a non-abrasive way, I think it's helpful then to do that hard sell every now and then. But I don't think early on, if that's your base, it just, people sometimes get turned off. So if you're just constantly hard selling, we see channels that do a similar business model as we do, where they buy and resell cars or parts or whatever, and the guys will do the used car salesman thing, where they're walking around their freaking garage or lot of shit for sale. Buy this, we have this, we still have this. And it's like, that's kind of like, if I want to watch a used car salesman, I can just go to the dealership. But like, so some of that stuff, it's like, it's hard for people to watch. And again, that you got to watch the comments, you got to listen to the stuff. And I know that you're trying to sell, I know if your business is trying to sell used parts or cars or whatever, you think that you need to do that, but good shit always sells. So if that car or that project isn't selling, doing the super hard sell, you're just selling to people that don't want to buy it, So I make the thing interesting. And just because you bought some car or part for too much money and now you can't get your money out of it, that's not YouTube. That's a you problem. That's a business model problem. And we have that problem too. Sometimes I buy stuff, or we buy a car, and it doesn't, we had that pickup that I bought for my buddy to help him out, and we didn't make much money on that. And I, we knew that, but we weren't.
Especially if we had to pay storage fees on how long it sat in the shop. So we lost money.
Yeah. So like, that's the stuff that I see early on if you're doing that. Now, when you're Gas Monkey Garage or Dennis Collins, is that his name? Dennis Collins?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, I'm terrible with I don't, big YouTubes or big celebrities. I don't really pay attention. I think that's him. But like, he does the, like, people talk about that coffee walk thing or whatever he does, and he's kind of like, hey, we got all these cars and this stuff, and like, they're kind of doing that, but like, it sometimes can seem desperate if you're doing hard selling your content all the time. And people don't always want to be sold to when they're watching content. So that's where we've learned over the years to blend our content into technical how-to stuff that's enjoyable to watch. Now that the channel's gotten a little bigger, we're able to do the lifestyle stuff. But we've tested that over the years, and we found stuff that doesn't work. So we've talked about before, like the tractor. I did some videos on the tractor earlier in the channel. The videos did terribly.
I think they're some of our least viewed videos.
Yeah, and like, I did the Cushman videos a little bit, and they did okay, but they weren't.
And the tools that don't suck.
Yeah, that was one I was surprised about, because people were always asking about what tools we have and Toolbox Tour and all this stuff, and then we started doing it. It was like, everybody's doing that. So if somebody wanted to watch a tool review, they would just go to a tool review.
And I think that
site.
Tool review, the tractor, and I think mail call are like our grouping of lowest viewed videos.
Yeah, and it's weird because the mail call, we do get a lot of people that will ask us about doing mail call.
Yeah.
But it just didn't seem like it was getting the traction. It was also becoming too time intensive, where it's like, now we got to open all these packages, and we got to somehow navigate through people sending us free stuff to try and get free promotion. And we just decided to shut it off because it was just not.
Yeah, it's too much.
It wasn't doing what we. It was also not what we wanted to do with the channel. So we weren't trying to turn it into a that. And that goes back into if you want to do that, we could have started a side channel where it was maybe mail call and some of that other stuff. But I don't feel like our channel is large enough to do that. Nor do we want to spend the time.
No.
So at what point, as far as the business model thing, we started realizing of what we were going to focus on? I don't know if that was a couple years in, because I was always doing the buying and selling to fund the hobby.
Yeah, it would probably be around COVID, because things started to change with our YouTube channel around COVID too.
True, yeah.
Because you were at home filming. You know, when COVID happened, Eastwood, all businesses stopped unless you were an essential worker.
Yeah.
You just worked from home. So Matt was working from the home shop, and we started to have the conversations of how can we transition this to just doing this full time. And I think the biggest proponent of that is even during COVID, you bought and sold a bunch, not big estates, but there were some cars you bought and sold. And, you know, even the DeLorean car, you got a massive pile of parts with that.
Yeah.
And it just led into us having the opportunity to buy all the stuff from Pittsburgh, which came through the channel.
Yeah, that was the big one. Yeah. Well, no, that came through Pete.
Oh, that's right. That did come through Pete.
That came through Pete, who Bruce Larson was the proponent for that, and he talked to Pete, who basically passed the torch to us as someone to buy that kind of load. But again, that was from us building everything up, doing the channel. People were becoming aware of us. But yeah, it was sometime 2019, 2020, we started being like, okay, well, now we can grow the parts business. And we kind of like, we had the narrow focus of like, okay, that's what the business is. It's not doing customer work, because I didn't really like doing customer work. It was not being just YouTubers and making money, but we were starting to make money off YouTube at that point.
Yeah, definitely.
Not enough to quit our jobs. And that's when it was like, okay, well, we can make a focus. And I think at that point also, I was already on Instagram selling directly and making money on Instagram. So it was like, okay, well, we can just further that by sharing it on YouTube and get more people to potentially buy your stuff and do that. So we started focusing on telling the story of having a parts and car, resale business, for lack of a better term.
And I didn't think that, and I think that didn't fully start until, I can't remember, but like even Pittsburgh, the 34s, a bunch of those.
It was Pittsburgh, and it was during 2020 when I went to Dan's place in the Pacific Northwest. That was
I was going to say the unloading of like showing in more detail what we got to help sell it.
True.
I don't think that started until like 2022, I don't think.
I think the first unloading video we did was the Arden stuff. I think that was kind of like a by-accident thing.
Yeah, that was just because it was crazy of what you bought.
Yeah, so like that was the first time we were like, whoa, this video did really good. People liked seeing what you got. And then the light bulb went off in our head. I'm like, people, all of us, if you're into this stuff, whether you zoom in on a Facebook Marketplace photo to see what's in the background. And like by doing the unloading video, we're showing people what we have more in depth. And then instantly people are like, it's that, that like a swap meet when everybody comes in first thing in the morning and they're trying to grab deals. It's the same thing with our videos. People are watching our videos. And again, it's a time-honored tradition of when you got that newspaper or you got the Auto Trader, everybody would rush to the newsstands, or first thing Sunday morning, you open the newspaper and go right to the classifieds. What cars were for sale? And the first person to see it and call the person got the deal on the thing. So people are watching our videos knowing we're doing an unloading video, and they want to see what we got to try and get the good stuff first. So it's like, oh, okay. Like people, it sells it without having the hard sell. We're just showing what we got and mentioning that this is for sale, this isn't for sale. And
it's funny because we don't ever really show our inventory of what we have, like the car salesman thing. We never like walk around and we have this and we have that. It's just we only really ever show what we get in that's new, somewhat in detail. Because I mean, some of the picks we get 15 pallets of stuff and we just show the highlights, and there's still thousands of items buried on a pallet.
Yep. Yeah, so it's like we kind of figured out, narrowed the focus. I've been probably to a fault. I don't like to hard sell. I'm probably, if a business advisor looked at what we do, they would probably say we don't do as good of a job as we should at hard selling or or selling to people, but I've always been like, people will buy the stuff if they want to buy it, and things will grow organically. So if you're trying to, again, back to if you're trying to grow whatever your business is. So if you're trying to create a hot rod shop, or you're a metal craftsman and you want to get more people to do metal work, you just doing good metal work is going to bring in customers organically. Not you saying, hey, we're booking customers for the next, trying to puts doubts in people's head, because a good body guy, a good upholstery guy, a good metal worker, they're booked. Those guys are usually a good engine builder. Yeah. They're usually turning people away. So if you're desperately asking for customers, it's that puts a doubt in your customer's head. Why are they not busy? Why are they, what's the reason? So I think if you just let the work speak for itself, people are going to start finding you, and then you're not going to have to advertise. So it's the same thing with the parts sales. If we're trying to hawk every nut and bolt that we get in, it kind of looks desperate, and it's well, whatever. So that's, whatever your business is that you're trying to do with it. If you're trying to do a business that's not just being a YouTuber, that would be the thing I could say is it's try not to do the aggressive hard sell. Let your work speak for itself. Also, we try to share don't be afraid to show people your values and how you do business, your thought process for what your business is. So we're very transparent with how we do business, our mindset, and all of that stuff. And I think people buy into that. And I'd like to think that with our business, back to selling this 32 or some of the cars we sold, I don't sell a car. Rarely ever do I really try and sell a car. I tell people what it is. We're very cut and dry, and we don't sugarcoat it. We're not
same with parts. I do the same thing with parts.
And generally, if there is a problem with something, sometimes it's just either an oversight on our part, like a part that we didn't see a little defect or a crack or whatever, and we will take a return. Or it's just a person had different expectations, but we're very transparent. We're not.
And I will tell people that they're buying the wrong part.
Yeah.
I'll be transparent with people. They ask for a part, and then I always, just have some dialogue. What are you looking to do? Mm-hmm. And they're like, I want to do X, Y, and Z. Well, that isn't going to work. This is what you need. We don't have any, but the next time we get some, you will be our first call.
Yes. And
it's nothing more frustrating than buying something from an expert, quote unquote, and they just didn't tell you that what you were buying was totally wrong. They were just looking to sell you something.
Yeah, and we can't be experts of everything.
Oh, 100%.
So there are times that we make errors, or we don't know, or we forgot, or whatever. But but back to that whole the mindset and your how you handle business. You could take this to any type of business in this hobby or industry, and if you are a metal shaper or a metal craftsman with that, you're being upfront with the type of work you do. So if you upheld the certain standard of the type of metal work or body work you're doing or paint work, you're letting customers know up front, I'm not going to do your half-assed metal repair because your budget won't allow for doing my type of work. This is the type of work I do. This is how I handle business. If you don't like that, then I'm not the guy for you. There's 1,000 people that will do chicken shit welds and cave and pave over a panel, but I'm doing this type of work. Or I'm a painter. I only really do candy paint jobs, and this type of work is what I do. I do lowriders, I do customs. This is the kind of work I do. Don't bring me your Camaro restoration, because that's not what I do. And not everybody can focus that much, but if you're being transparent in the beginning of how you handle business and how you do things, and people aren't upset, so we every week, almost daily, we get people that think that we still do customer works, and
all the time,
trying to get us to build them a hot rod, fix their car, do whatever, and they're very confused. And I'm actually proud of that, because they will watch our channel forever, and we still have people that are like, how do you guys make money? Or they think that YouTube's how we make, I'll support you guys and buy a t-shirt. We're like, I'll just give you the t-shirt. We don't make money off t-shirts.
You had to say that. Now everyone's going to ask for a free t-shirt. Thanks.
You won't get a free t-shirt.
Yeah.
I'm totally random with the free t-shirt thing.
Yes. Everyone's going to come up to Steve at Carlisle in the spring and be like, I heard you guys are giving out free t-shirts.
Yeah. So I'm pretty proud of the fact that we do such a good job of not hard selling and kind of subconsciously selling to people, that they don't understand how we even make money. And that's like the coolest way to do it, I think. Like I follow a lot of metal shapers and painters on social media that like they just show what they're doing. They don't really talk about like business, what they charge or business or anything. And yes, if you send them an email or have a phone call, you're going to talk dollars, but like we don't really get into all of that. And it's a nice way for people to follow you without feeling like you're selling to them. So we have tons of people that follow us that will never buy a single part. I mean, we have people that comment and go, I don't even like hot rods, but I just think it's neat how you guys are saving the history. Yeah. You're pulling these cars out of buildings and just getting them passed on to other people. And on our side, it also helps with us now curating our people selling to us, because like people, it's like our resume on our videos. So like we have estates that will contact us and they'll now be like, I was watching you guys for 6 months before I even emailed you. My father passed away 10 years ago, and I just thought you guys are the right people to get my father's, to buy my father's stuff. And the dialogue is like so much easier because
and we just send it as a resume. They're like, I've never heard of you guys. Someone recommended us to you, or you send. Matt goes through and sends them 1 or 2 videos of different estates that we've done over the years, and like, these are these estates, and some of the estates that we even deal with, they say if anyone ever wants to ask about you guys, here's my phone number. Have them call me. I will talk to them about you guys. And the York estate. She's talked to people for us.
Yeah. We've had multiple people, and we can send. And it's oddly enough, we almost never need to send a.
Once they see the videos, they understand.
They kind of understand, and it makes it so much easier because when we go into these conversations, it's so transparent because we still let people know we have a business.
Yeah.
So when we go into it, I always have to make that statement up front. I say, look, I have to buy this stuff because we're a business, right? If you're looking to sell it for full-blown retail, we're just not the buyers. Or maybe I'd only buy 1 or 2 things, and then we're going to be, that's it. And usually they're like, no, we totally get it. We already know. We got to sell this stuff at a deal, but you're taking everything and you're doing a service. And, like, we already told them that. And then back to, like, the car thing, we've already sold them on our services without knowing that we were talking to them. So they come into it already, knowing what's going on, and they understand how we do business, and then you just start talking dollars and cents and how it can happen, and it either works or it doesn't. It's a very simple, straightforward conversation. So whatever your business is, you're already having that straightforward conversation. So don't be afraid to share your values, how you do business.
I think that also will help with sponsors. We don't have a lot of sponsors just because we
on purpose.
That's a good way to make revenue on YouTube is through sponsorships and doing brand deals and that kind of stuff. And if you're showing your values and how you run a business transparently, it's easier for those sponsors to decide that they want to give you money to help you. Right. If you're hiding all of that stuff, it's tough for them to pull the trigger because it's like, what is this person or YouTube channel really about at the end of the day?
Yeah, and that goes back to, like I was saying on the social media thing, like I don't share a ton of like personal life stuff in depth. I'll show my father, my nephew, or Kate a little bit. Nate's on the channel a little bit, but like we don't go and show like family drama. Like we're not going on a channel and talking about family drama or my cousin's getting divorced, and that, like, some people get a little too into that, but it's also the same thing, and it's relevant right now especially. You don't need to go into your political beliefs super, super heavy.
Yeah.
I know that you can be passionate about it. We are super heavy on like keep your politics out of hot rodding. Like you're allowed to be passionate and have your views.
We've yelled at people at our swap meet spaces before.
Yeah, 100%.
Like people arguing or having passionate discussions. Like, guys, we're here to sell parts. Please, if you want to do that, go somewhere else.
Yeah.
I don't give a shit.
Especially like even like when the last election was going on, we had people in my shop that came in and started talking politics. Like they just started passionately bringing up, I'm like, you need to leave. Like if you're going to talk like this, you need to leave because I don't need another customer or person showing up and the two of you getting into it or thinking that we're
associated with all of that.
So like we don't. So that's a good thing. Like again, if the sponsor thing, Mike's saying, if you're super heavy to one way, you need to learn how to, like, if you're doing a business or you think of yourself as a, you're in the public, you're you need to be now. Sure, if you want to, that's your goal in life is to promote a certain aspect of politics, then sure. But like, don't be surprised if if a sponsor won't do business with you because you are so outspoken about a certain thing, or you're talking down about a certain type of person or political belief or whatever it is. So like, we see a lot of businesses or YouTubers that like on their Instagram, they're like, they get way too personal about their political beliefs or whatever.
Just anything and beliefs in general.
I try not to do that.
The only beliefs we like to share is traditional hot rodding.
Yeah, old cars are cool.
Yeah.
Dogs and cats and animals are cool.
And rat rods are lame.
Yeah. Well, that's just not our thing. They're not lame. We go back to being kind of like broad. It's like I don't hate something. It's not my thing.
Yeah, it's not my style.
So we just try and think of that, because that's going to hurt your business if you're, or hurt your growth of your channel. Because the rat rod thing, it's a good example. Like we have people that follow us that are into rat rods, and I changed my way of doing that over the years, where it's like, it's just not our thing. And with the mindset that somebody might be watching our channel and might be into rat rods, but then they evolve into appreciating what we do, and maybe they'd want to build a more, and guys building rat rods buy parts from us.
Yeah.
So it's like, we can't alienate those potential customers. But so what are some new, for the people that are listening, they're into the tech aspect, so what's some new stuff in the last handful of years we've upgraded to that are very helpful, you would say?
Well, they're listening to a podcast, so we bit the bullet and bought some like legit podcast mics and a soundboard to edit on. The biggest thing this year is we bought some DJI as a brand, wireless lav mics that work really, really well. You can have two mics through a receiver, so Matt and I can both wear mics in the shop. They go to the same camera. You don't need like an audio engineer to set them up or anything like that. It just works really, really nice.
I like how they, like, with the technology now, the stuff I used to have problems with when I worked at Eastwood is kind of mostly gone. It's like they auto sync.
Yeah. It's
really simple. There's green lights that either blink or light, and we do a real quick sound check just to make sure that it's good, and then like boom, everything.
And there's been some of that technology out there for a couple of years, but I've been hesitant because they haven't been the greatest. They've had lots of problems with interference and all kinds of stuff. DJI is a really good company. We've had a bunch of their drones and different stuff. When they came out with it, I was like, that's legit. We're going to buy it. Very affordable. It's like under $200.
And I like they like have, and we're not sponsored by them, but if you would like to give us free stuff, DJI, hit us up.
I spent lots and lots of money with you.
We would love to partner with you.
Yeah.
I like that it has its own carrying case. Like the carrying case is also the charger.
It's a battery pack.
Battery pack. So it's nice for us in the shop. I don't constantly have to be plugging that stuff in. I just have the little case. I throw the mics back in when I'm done, close the case up, it's charging. And it's kind of like your headphones for an iPhone or something like that. They charge themselves, and maybe once a month we have to charge.
I just plugged it in probably for the first time. Did you charge a case at all?
Yeah, I've done it like once.
Yeah. I bought them all around Christmas, I think. So
it's like twice we've had to charge them. I mean, we use them pretty often, but it is an extra process to remember to put your mic on. But even Steve, I've already trained Steve with how to use it. It's that simple that Steve's like anti-technology.
He literally came over to me yesterday. We filmed something on my car. He literally came walking over to me with his mic already on, the mic on and paired, and handed it to me. He's like, "We got to film something for your car talking." I was like, "Look at this. Steve's a pro."
He's getting good at that. So if you make it easy, so we like technology that is fairly easy to use and
stupid proof, because you know we're out in the wilderness, we're out picking. We need stuff that just works and is simple, and I don't need.
We might have power to recharge.
Yes, that's the big thing.
Recharge, and if we're picking somewhere for a whole day, and the mic goes dead, we may not be able to get to power, or we got to plug it into Mike's truck, and it may not charge as quickly. So it's like, or the U-Haul. So it's like if we have this battery pack and they charge pretty quickly, and in like an hour they're back in like usable.
And they're small and compact, because we bought wireless mics pretty early on because we were using it for some stuff, and they were big and bulky. They used AA batteries, and
that was like the stuff at Eastwood I was using. Yeah,
and along with that, with the mics this year, we also upgraded our action cams.
Oh yeah,
we were using GoPros for years. I had a GoPro 3, a GoPro 5, and then this last round we bought 3 GoPro 7s. And we had them for probably 5 years. They lasted pretty long, but they all died at the same time. All of them just like shit the bed, one after, like back to back to back. So I did some research, and DJI has a good action cam. This is like the 5th rendition of it, so they've worked a bunch of the bugs out, and I just did some research between them and GoPro and just said, I have to buy all new everything anyway. The new GoPros use different batteries and all that stuff. So I was like, I have to buy all new everything. Let's just try it. So
and like GoPro or action camera is a good alternative if you want just one camera that kind of does everything.
Yeah.
Like my nephew started a YouTube channel. I'm going to give my nephew a shout out.
Yeah.
My nephew started a YouTube channel. I don't know what he named.
Isn't it Evans Rebuilds or something like that?
Yeah, and Evan, I think he changed the name a few times.
I'll put it in the podcast or YouTube video description with Evan's YouTube channel.
Evan's 13. He's trying the YouTube channel thing. He likes it, but he's going through this process. Literally, we're talking about. I'm trying not to be too pushy with like telling him how to make changes or make it better. Right now he's in that phase we were talking about, where like he's just figuring out how to film and edit and be himself on camera. Now he's in school, he's a child, so like he has nothing but time. So for him to do every aspect of the process, not a big deal, because other than schoolwork, editing is, the other thing he does. So, but like my brother and him kind of came to me and like, oh, he wants to do YouTube. What do we need? Mike and I kind of worked together, and Mike helped give him like, here's a little laptop that is powerful enough that he can edit on. And we kind of made the decision like a GoPro or an action camera was probably the best all around. He wanted to do a lot of time lapse. He could get all the stuff to wear, so he's doing a lot of like small engine stuff, dirt bikes.
And I will say GoPro is a much easier camera to learn. It's very simple. Yep. The ones that we bought are a little bit more technical. You can do a lot more of changing of settings and stuff.
Yeah.
So for him, the GoPro was like,
for sure,
you just like put it on, press a button, and it records.
Yep.
There's a lot less things you can mess around with to like mess up the camera, so it's shooting in night vision or something silly.
Right. Yeah. So he's going through that process right now where he's learning, he's getting used to talking to the camera, like all that kind of stuff.
That process, I've watched a bunch of his videos. It's funny to watch. Not funny, it's enjoyable to watch him try and talk to camera, because he's very shy and a quieter child. So it's interesting to watch him try and be outspoken towards the camera, which is the weirdest thing ever.
Yeah, it's hard to do. So like, if you're thinking about getting one camera that could maybe do it all, that is a good option, because it does shoot time lapse very well. They have a time lapse setting. You could fill pretty much anything. They have wide angle settings on them, so if you need to get a fisheye, you can.
And they're indestructible. You can drop them and get them wet, and they're much more heavy duty than a DSLR. You knock it over, and it's broken.
Yep. So I think that so as far as the channel and building your brand, getting your core viewers and followers set up is the key. Once you have a core group of people watching you that just like anything you're doing, and they like the values and how you are as a person and everything about it, then you could start playing with the whole like, do we want to show this type of stuff? And we're finally now at the point where we can show lifestyle stuff and people enjoy it. And it's really fun, because now we're showing like all the just totally random stuff, and people enjoy that, and they're subscribed to just us as humans and what we're doing, and not specifically just hardcore tech videos.
And getting that core group also helps you promote your channel, because we've found over the years, if you haven't noticed, we very rarely post on Facebook groups and all these groups about our content, because all of our viewers do it for us.
Yes, we don't
have to share a video of us pulling out a 32 anywhere, because someone's going to see that video on our channel and just share it for us.
Good and bad. So we got the, when it goes back to the purists, we got the haters on Ford Barn, the purist guys that are like, minds are exploding, and they watch our stuff because they enjoy it, but they also get pissed because we're hot rodding. Yes. So like, they share it amongst each other, and sometimes bad publicity can be good to a point. So like in that instance, these people are sharing it. back to being not desperate seeming. Like if you're just constantly sharing your content, like every video to every Facebook group in the planet, it sometimes from the outside looks a little desperate. It gets a little annoying. Like it's just spam. Like you think of it that way, it's spam. It's the same reason we have a email list, and I occasionally send out these email blasts with like new products, new videos, at most once a week. That comes from a place of working for Eastwood that sends 10 emails a day, and I don't like that personally, and a lot of people don't like that. So if you're spamming, just think to yourself, if there was somebody who was posting that same thing and you were just seeing it, it might be a little too much.
It's the same with social media too.
Yeah,
you don't spam social media with, a new photo every couple hours.
Yeah, I mean there is a balance for that. So you're right. Like you're going to get your viewers, and we get it all the time where people are like, my buddy, my car club told me about you guys. I didn't even know who you were, but he like watches every video and just keeps going on and on how I got to check you guys out, and then all of a sudden like I love your stuff or whatever. So
they're buying a car from us.
yeah. So it's like super cool that like technology and social media is so far advanced, but in the end of the day, like with what we're doing, old school word of mouth gets us lots of followers because people were telling their friends when they go to a car show or they're wearing our shirt, and what's that? Oh, these guys on YouTube, you got to check them out. They do whatever, and it's like, so you will see in our videos very early on we stopped doing the make sure you like and subscribe and comment. Like we don't say that ever anymore because I say it to people in cons. I don't give a shit. Like, you don't like our video, don't fucking watch. I don't care. We're going to keep doing it because we're not trying to be YouTubers. We're trying to run a business in buying and selling parts and cars and promoting the hobby. So if you don't like whatever, you don't like that we're chopping up a Mercury right now, I don't give a shit. Don't watch because there's plenty of people that do enjoy it. Mm-hmm. And you're not our core viewers. So don't get upset if some guy or gal or troll comments and said they don't like your content or your hair. How many times early on do we get or still get comments because we're tattooed? Oh, you punk kid, you look like a, whatever. Don't worry about that.
Yeah, I've been around. We've both been around long enough and been tattooed long enough. I don't care. We're so immune to all of that stuff.
I do a lot of very professional things.
Yes.
I'm on the board of directors of an antique car museum that everyone is very straight-laced. And then I walk in with a backwards hat and covered in tattoos. And those people, it's a very professional setting. That doesn't mean anything. So don't let any of that change you or get too invested, and people still put us down because we look a certain way or we're young or whatever those things are. That shouldn't matter.
Doesn't affect us one bit.
No, but once you get the core audience built, then you could start showing more of that. So you show your family life maybe a little more, or whatever. And people do. We've noticed people do enjoy. Once they're invested, they do like learning more about you and showing. Like showing your son. Yeah. Me showing my nephew. People love that. And we're not using it as pulling at the heartstrings. I think some YouTube channels will try and do that where they're pulling at the heartstrings, showing their father, and I'm going to build this car for my father, and you guys should donate to the build. It's that seems a little desperate. Yeah. We're just sharing that stuff. So that's where you get to a good place. But as far as technology goes, I guess as we kind of get towards the end of this, future things that we see that might be helpful to our channel, or now that we're kind of professional at this, there's some stuff. So you already talked about the new GoPros and different stuff like that. Yeah. Is there anything you would like to have, or you think you'd like to integrate into our content that might be helpful for us?
Some of it's just getting a little bit better gear. I talked about earlier. I think I'm going to upgrade our main travel camera to something that's a little bit better, just because at the root of YouTube, creating good content is the key thing. The quality doesn't have to be as best as it can be. The thing with us that it helps is a lot of people watch us on their TV.
Yeah.
So having higher quality looks better on an old dudes with an 80-inch TV.
Yeah, agreed.
It looks better. So in the future, I'd like to upgrade to a better quality camera. I would like to start shooting in 4K all the time. The problem is you fill an SD card really fast because it's a larger file,
right?
Better quality.
And then the trickle down would be the shop camera will get a little better.
We'll get the camera that we use for trips will then go in the shop.
Yes.
Get better. And I can see the difference.
Oh, for sure.
When we film, like we'll use both cameras in the shop sometime, and between the two cameras, I can see the difference of what was filmed with what.
Yeah.
So that's something we'd like to do. We talked about getting Ray-Ban has Meta glasses.
I was gonna get into that. I've been like,
I know. I look at your YouTube. There's just like clips of Meta glasses.
I've been geeking out at it. So our one of our good friends, Jason, stopped by and visited the other week, and he works at a Porsche dealership for his day gig as a parts manager. And he said one of the techs or somebody there got the glasses, and he actually, like, I had seen them, but I didn't.
So explain what they are.
So the Meta glasses, basically, for years now, companies have been trying to come up with an AI glasses that basically you could wear either normal prescription glasses or sunglasses that can do functions that your phone does. So there's been some really space age looking clunky ones.
Google has a lens.
Yeah, they're just, I haven't even paid attention to them because I think they're not something we'd want to do. I don't want to look. You want. I think the general public wants something that doesn't look like it's we're in Back to the Future or some other type of whatever. So recently, Meta, Facebook's, I guess, parent company or whatever, partnered with Ray-Ban, and obviously the Ray-Ban Wayfarer sunglasses since the beginning of Hollywood. Ray-Ban is like been the go-to glasses. We wear a lot of knockoff Ray-Bans because I break them a lot, and we'll get into that. But they partnered and they made these Ray-Ban number of styles, but mainly the Wayfarer glasses that has a camera in it that actually
a really good camera.
Films pretty good content. It has a pretty good memory in it, and you also can connect it to your phone, and it has a speaker in it. You can listen to music, but it's not loud outside. You can also has a microphone that you can record content. And the super cool thing is they're not much more bulky than a normal pair of Wayfarers or Ray-Ban glasses, and you can wear them and just live your life. So I think it's super cool because you can for us, we've been talking about. I think it's amazing. We struggle with getting in-car content because with the GoPro, you got to do a suction cup and make sure that it's got a good view. And sometimes we film and the sound isn't good,
or the suction cup falls off the windshield.
Yeah, just different stuff like that isn't great. And it's still a pain in the butt. Like for us now doing the week in the life of content, we miss so much content because I just go out and drive my car. I mean, Kate and I went and got coffee yesterday morning and had breakfast in the Blue 38 convertible. I didn't film anything, but it would have been killer if I just put those glasses on, hit record, and it's her and I driving, and we drop that clip in, and it's just a lot of fun. So they've come out with that. We've been researching it. Jason actually wore a pair, and he showed me some content that his friend or the guy at his work driving like a 911, and he's wearing them, and it was really steady, really cool footage. The sound was good, and I was like, man, that's for us, it's awesome. Now, it's not your only. So if you're starting a YouTube channel, I wouldn't just get the Meta glasses and go right into it. So they're not real expensive. I think they're $300 or
it's not that bad.
Something like that for the normal ones. But there's some downsides to it. The one thing I don't like, why we haven't hopped and bought them yet. The one thing I don't like is they're really formatted towards vertical. They only do vertical filming, portrait filming. So for TikTok and Instagram and Facebook and social media reels, they're formatted for that. So it works great for that. But for us doing YouTube, now we have to either crop the clip or have the black borders. Yeah. Which again, for late week in the life of,
it doesn't. We've done that before.
It's not a huge deal, but that's sort of one of my deal breakers because we can't use those clips as much as we would like for YouTube.
And we talked about just getting a pair and trying it because sometimes the way that those film in portrait, there's enough there, extra space. Oops. I can crop and it doesn't look weird, but it all depends on the aspect. If I crop it down and all you see your hands on the steering wheel and a little bit out the window, it doesn't work. It's just one of those. It's like buying a new camera. We just have to bite the bullet and kind of just do it.
And that's one thing to mention about if you're doing this whole brand or content thing, you're going all in. Do realize that you are going to waste money on technology that and Mike already mentioned like 3 things or 5 things throughout this podcast that like there's certain mics we bought, there's cameras, there's Steadicam stuff we've gotten over the years that like we thought might work and then we use it and it's clunky or it's just not good for us. And
there's a whole pod. I think I emptied the camera. There's a camera bag down in the shop.
Old technology.
It's got like all kinds of. We tried like 5 different iPhone mics.
Yeah.
Over the years of just trying. We had one that worked for like a month, and then just one day just stopped working. We had real good luck with it. Just it's like throwing shit at the wall and just whatever sticks. And what works for us may not work for other people.
Yeah, and we. So the glasses are one of those things. It's like for the $200-300, it's kind of like, well, do we try them? We obviously are doing this professionally, so that kind of investment in a normal business is not a big deal. I mean, in big business,
just write it off.
Yeah, you can just write it off. It's great.
That's a write-off.
So I'm not going to buy glasses for Steve and Mike and myself and Moon and put everybody with Moon would be awesome.
Oh, that's a
Ray-Ban Meta.
We should. You know what we should do? This is totally left field. They make a dog harness.
Ooh.
We got to get him a dog harness and just put the DJI camera on it.
Yeah.
Set it for time lapse and a whole day of him just outside because he goes to the community center next door and visits people while they're taking their lunches. So it'd be hilarious. We'll make a video one day of Moon's day in the life of Moon.
and we've joked like I've been joking with Kate, like there's these TikToks that I follow that like there's one that I follow that's really, I'm going on the left field here. There's a really funny one that I follow that is a lady that lives like adjacent to a farm, and the farm dog is never on a leash, and he visits the neighbors, and it's like her dog. She's never met the neighbor. This hound dog wanders over, and she just opens her door, and he comes in, she feeds him, she washes him, he sleeps there, and he just like, and then she'll film, and he just like leaves, and then he disappears for the day, and he comes back, and like, I'm like, there's gonna be a TikTok of Moon, and he's like in the senior center getting petted by kids, and he's just like hanging out getting treats, and then we don't even know, and then he comes back a couple hours later, and he's like,
got like a secret family.
Yeah, and he's like, hey guys, that's what this is. It's like a secret family for this dog, and Moon's going to have that.
I'm going on Amazon after this podcast and buying Moon a GoPro harness.
Yeah, once he's healed up, he probably needs that.
Dude, it'd be so
and then
fun.
riding in the car and all that stuff. It'll be fun. So, but the whole thought process is, do we get these glasses? We can do more with it. The things I don't like, and it's for good reason, I should say. The glasses have some things in it that so people can't be creeps. So when you're filming, there is a light that lights up all the time while it's filming. There's been some videos I saw where people are talking about how you can hide it or whatever. We're not trying to be creepy. So like, but it also makes it a little difficult if we wanted to film. Like I thought it'd be cool, like going to Hershey, like we could wear the glasses and record. And we've talked about doing like a fun little contest of who can find the best stuff or whatever. And we hit the little button because you see something cool you're walking up on.
Yeah.
Like even for filming, you wouldn't have to carry the big camera. You could just hit the button, walk up, look at it, hold it, great. But it has that light on, and I think people are going to get weird about you filming them without their authorization. I mean, even with our phone, if we have our phone up and you're recording a guy, sometimes at Hershey they get like weirded out, like I don't want you to film me,
Yep.
So I think that part of it's going to be difficult because it does seem creepy that you're filming with your sunglasses. People still think of the old like spy movies.
Yeah.
Like
we should get a pair because we're going on a trip in a couple weeks. We should look at just getting a pair, and even if we don't use the footage for the video, it might be cool to do some clips for social media while we're loading a car.
Well, that was the thing we talked about that's really cool. It's like you can get them with your prescription lenses and wear them as normal glasses. I would, because I don't wear glasses daily, like other than reading glasses now for welding, but like I would wear them as sunglasses. I don't feel comfortable wearing like clear lens glasses.
Yeah.
It's not for fashion, but they are a little bulkier, it looks like. But you could wear them like picking, and as we're like, think of those videos where I'm like, we've gotten footage of me digging around in an attic, but like if we had the first person view and I'm just wearing, maybe not an attic with sunglasses, but like.
The other thing I thought about too is like, we're doing, like the other day, we put a 32 body on the office with the forklift, and I'm filming with my phone and driving the forklift. Like if you just had those glasses upstairs while we were doing it, it's an easier way to film content without like holding a phone or doing stuff.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, so like, and I hope that the technology comes around and they will start offering. I started researching, like, is there better glasses that somebody else is making I'm not aware of? And any of the ones I saw, they're really clunky looking. Like, they have huge, like, because of the battery pack or whatever, the part that goes over your ears is, like, really big and bulky. And
it's like GoPro. GoPro was the action cam for a couple years, and the competition was big and bulky and didn't work well. And it takes a couple years for someone to
catch up.
Because a lot of times the people that come up with the best glass or the best technology, it's all patented. So people are trying to find workarounds. So you have to wait for that patent to expire, and then someone will come in 2 years. Someone will have a comparable product to Ray-Ban that's like way better. It just takes time. Yeah.
So like, I think that's a good thing. I think technology-wise, I think it'll help with us with doing content. You have to be open to all this stuff. Like, I'm not a super tech nerd guy, but like, we kind of have to look at it. And
you have to find someone that's I'm that way. I always send him cool stuff.
Yeah, Mike digs that stuff, and it's not that I don't like it. I just don't follow. As I get older, I follow it less than when I was younger, and I'm just doing other things. You know, so like. But that's one that I see. I see the benefit from us.
A lot of times I just show up with new technology.
Yeah, I'm like, what is that thing?
I'm like, here, look, I bought a new drone. You're like,
and then I'm like a grumpy old man. I'm like, this camera is, how do I swipe, Mike? And I'm like yelling at him. He's like, it's really easy. You just swipe here and then hit the button. I'm like,
just have to. It's like teaching your grandfather how to use a computer. Once I show him once, he's okay.
Yeah, I'm not that bad. But like, so those glasses, I think, could be a big change in content creation. I think for us, if we do get them, I'm not going to be using them. I don't think we're going to really use them in public settings like filming at swap meets. No. I just think it's still a little weird. But for us picking and for us doing driving stuff, I think is the most important. And also, there's some lifestyle stuff where you just put them on and wear them, and I think it'll be cool. The battery life I saw wasn't as good. Same idea, has the case you put the glasses in charges it. But I think when you're recording, they're maximum of 4 hours. But that's like if you're using them for playing music, taking a phone call. But if you start recording a lot with them, I was watching reviews and it was like 2 to 3 hours. So like that's a little bit of a pain if we're doing a lot of filming. And they only do like, I think now the maximum you can do is a 3-minute clip. But again, I think if we're doing driving shots, I'll just click it on and start recording. And I'm driving for a few minutes. And right now I'm doing it with my phone. I'm trying to like drive and steer a hot rod and
film. It makes everything safer. Loading your car, unloading the car, picking.
It's all you have, both hands are free. So that's something. I don't know if there's any.
It's just upgrades. Like I think
lighting has been something we've struggled with.
We've gotten better this year with that.
Yeah, so lighting is always a good thing. It's really hard in a shop setting or under a lift to get good lighting.
It's also hard with lighting to find the right lights that won't affect the camera.
True.
That's something to bring up. We had a problem with that with some of the LED lights, the way that they're
the frequency
of the cycle will get picked up by the camera, and you get like these weird lines. If you watch some of our earlier videos, some of the Eastwood lights affected the camera, and the frequency of the light, you can see it'll travel up and down the screen, and it's odd. We've gotten the newer lights aren't as much of a problem, the newer LED stuff, but it's something to be aware of. You know, you buy an LED light for your camera, you got all this weird like lines. What's going on? It's the frequency of the LED light.
Yeah, so lighting is important for sure, and we've been trying to get better at that. And it's also difficult if you're doing a channel much like we still are, where it's just like everyone's juggling multiple tasks. It's hard for Mike and myself to think of the lighting when we're trying to dig a car out of a barn. So you're trying to like,
and we travel too, so it's hard to travel with a ton of camera gear and lighting and.
So there's some opportunities, I think, with technology getting better with lighting. I've seen some stuff with the phone now that it has a ring light, and you hold the ring light and the phone clips into it, and like that'll give you better lighting with your phone, but it's also clunky. We can't carry that in our pocket. So with automotive stuff, it's a lot more different than a fashion vlog or something else where it's no big deal to have that ring light with it because that's all you're traveling with. But like for us, trying to have tools and everything else we're doing. So I think that stuff. But I think the glass thing will be cool. The mic thing was the huge thing for us recently that we've done. Yeah. But I think like the drone thing, like you got the drone and we used it a lot early on, and then we started finding it was kind of like an extra thing. We had to stop, let Mike film with the drone. Are the people okay with us using the drone.
Can I fly it where we're at? 'Cause
Yeah.
It's an airplane. It's an
Yeah.
aircraft. So you have to follow FAA laws, and there's some places you can't fly them. And I think the trip that we're going on, I'm going to bring it because there's some neat stuff to film.
And I also think that as our channel gets bigger now, I can now see more of a reason to do more cinematic stuff. So like if we get another person eventually someday hired on, then it might free you up to focus on the filming more.
Yeah.
Or we get somebody that's just doing the filming, and like then we can get these shots we've always talked about of us driving back roads and the drones over top, and it's like very cinematic.
This trip that we're going on, I want to try to do a shot.
There's the property or
not the property of us on the way home for Week in the Life of.
Oh, cool.
Because there's going to be a potential of multiple box trucks with potential of multiple trailers.
Yeah.
So I think it'd be a cool shot, like where we're driving, pull over on the side of the road, get the drone flying, and then we drive, and you get a shot of the two box trucks driving. Because if they both have trailers with stuff on them, potentially. It would. I think that'd just be a cool shot of us driving through wherever.
Yeah.
Just like a 30-second clip of just the two of them driving down the road. I think it would look rad.
And that's back to like if you're just starting out on this stuff, doing all this extra stuff, like it is helpful. It's going to get your channel noticed more, but like you just got to get the process down. And now we've toyed with it, but now that the channel's getting bigger, people are enjoying the lifestyle stuff. It's like, okay, well now maybe there's more of a reason to do the drone clip and stop and do it. This particular trip, we're going to have a couple friends with us that are also going to be able to drive. So like if it's just Mike and I, we had two box trucks, well, he can't fly the drone and drive the box truck. He could, but we shouldn't. But now it's like we have people that can drive the box truck. Mike can stand outside on the side of the road, fly it, get the shot, and whatever. So I think the drone stuff will be cool. We've had a lot of. I was excited about the drone because it's like we can just get such good cinematic stuff. There's some really great roads around this area. Yeah. Driving up to the Pagoda would be always a dream of mine to get a hot rod winding up the road and all that stuff. So, and does your drone, or I know there's some stuff where it can follow?
Yeah, but the problem is, so you have to set it for a distance, but that doesn't change with height. So like if you drive up a mountain, the drone is set to fly above you at 70 feet. It's 70 feet from where you start. So if you climb 70 feet in elevation, it's now flying at 0 feet. Like I saw a dude do a review with his motorcycle. Brand new, just did it, and he's driving up like a mountainside, and the drone just drove straight into the hill because it doesn't change elevation with you. It's just where it starts at. Okay. The technology, it's been a while since I've looked at it. Things may have changed, but there's ways you can do that. And like,
even for flat roads, like we have some test roads we do that are out in the country that like we could potentially just have it following the car, and it would be pretty cool.
It's all stuff you have to look out for, power lines and stuff.
So it's easier for you to just fly the drone and
just stand somewhere that has good viewpoints and fly. It's all stuff. I haven't flown it a lot. I've flown it a bunch, but not like enough to
especially
be like
recently.
Yeah, I'm a little rusty. But it's all stuff The good thing with our channel is we have the formula down. So all the stuff that we're adding to it now is just we're not trying to figure out what works. It's just upgrading it. So the cameras, we know what we need. We got to figure out what we want to upgrade to.
And what's worth it? The extra hassle or cost involved is worth it. So if you're just starting out, again, buying all this tech gear in the world, if you don't have a core audience or you don't have good content, all the best filming in the world, if your content sucks,
won't make a difference.
It won't make a difference at all. So that's where I think you got to balance that. And there's channels, like Mike said, that were huge that are just using cell phones. So like, don't get inside your head. The quality of your gear isn't a direct correlation with your views. I think at a certain point, yes, you have to upgrade. As some of those channels you're mentioning, they're now so big. It's like, we need a full-time camera guy. We need this and the that. So, I think that's a big part of it. But
at the end of the day, if you look at what viral content typically is, most of the time it looks like it was filmed with a potato. It's the type of content that makes it go viral, not the quality of the content that makes it go viral.
And we've had that happen a lot. And we've talked about it before, where we've shot videos that Mike brought the drone and all the gear, and there was a lot of production value. And then we film another video where I just randomly go on a pic and use my cell phone, and then it gets
double, quadruple, a fuck ton more views.
And that's where you have to.
It hurts my pride a little bit.
You have to turn your ego off, because it's just like, it is what it is. It's just that video got more buzz. So we aren't as we don't romanticize the quality of the content as much anymore. It's just gathering the content. Let the content speak for itself, and if people watch it, great. Yeah. I'd rather get it and put it out than say, nah, we're not going to film this. We don't have the drone. We don't have the good camera. We don't have whatever. It's like, just put it out. And that's probably as wrapping thing up, I would say that's
we've been talking for 2 hours. So.
Yeah. Well, I think we got this question a lot about this stuff. So, but as we're wrapping up, that's the biggest thing. Don't get in your head. Just start putting out content. Start understanding what you want to do. And if your goal with all of this in the end of the day is to have a lifestyle that you're living on, I say it a lot, living on your own terms. That's the mantra I've had, is whatever your version of that, we're living on our own terms currently. And if that's your goal, then you need to think about these things we're talking about, and that will get you there. It's just how you want to get there, or the way you want to make money to get your life to live on your own terms. That's up to you to decide. But these are all things we've done to get us where we're at, that we're able to do that. And that's makes us happy, and we have fun. And that's why you're hopefully listening to us, because we're doing it and living it every single day. So
cool.
Thank you guys for listening to this. Yeah. If you have any ideas for future topics such as this,
or guests, the spring, summer coming, we're going to start featuring more people besides our two ugly mugs.
Yeah.
We're going to try this summer. We're going to try a little bit more to film with some other people around the country, hopefully.
I need to hit up some local guys. I know that
we've just been. It's tough with us. Most of our time to film podcasts are Fridays.
Yeah,
a lot of our friends or local people.
We should. I should see if Tony Angelo lives pretty close to us. Yeah. I'm friendly with Tony. I should see if Tony be interested. Now that he's full time doing his own gig.
Yeah, definitely.
I should see if he wants to get on with us and just rap about different stuff. He's living a totally different world with the way he shoots content and the people that are watching his content. There's crossover, so we may try and partner with some different people like that to do stuff. And he's a real car guy. He's not necessarily he's a personality, but in the end of the day, he's a race car driver and a real car guy. Yep. So people like that is what we're looking to feature on here. So thank you guys for listening. Appreciate it. Just drop us a comment. If you're watching this on YouTube or whatever, just drop us a comment and let us know if this was helpful, or if you see us in person. We'd love to get your feedback.
Definitely.
So thank you guys. We'll catch you later.
See you. I don't know why I waited for you on there. There's no camera.
Yeah, that's fine.